Okay, so again, welcome everybody to this afternoon's live webinar on our new page designer. So today what we will be doing, we're going to be focusing on just the new page designer. It's much more of an overview of what it looks like, where you can find the controls. So we're going to be going through some menus, we're going to be going through tabs, and we're going to be demonstrating just a few things that work just a little bit differently in there, and then where you can find different things that you are used to. So for anybody that is brand new, this is a great start. For those advisors that are veteran advisors that have been with us for a while, hopefully this overview will get you familiar with the new layout and how this looks. So where I am at right now, this is I'm just past the login screen. I'm here on the welcome page. So for the most part, it has just a little bit of updated look, but everything's still here. It's got the countdown module, your tag these photos module. So this is as you start uploading your photos. You may see some photos pop up in this area, let you know that to add tags. Now, for those in tagging, just a reminder that it's optional to tag images, but if you're looking to keep coverage or use the coverage report to track how many times students are being used in the book, that way you kind of have a fair usage, then definitely make use of tagging your images. At a glance, we got a page status, let you know exactly how you're going on your progress. So you're going to see what's not started, in progress, completed, submitted, and that. A few dates over here on the left under upcoming events, such as when you need to get your cover in. Now this 11/15, that's a hard date, so make sure I really get it in there. Portrait CD, it has 12/15. Now this is just a demo, but these two parts will look about the same on everybody's account. So portrait CD, that's a little laxed because just depends on when your school photographers come out, or even if they're coming out at all. So just whenever you can get your class photo CDs to us, as long as you get those in a month, at least the latest, no longer than a month before your book is due, we can get those uploaded for you in that. But a lot of you will get those a lot sooner. Okay, so as far as menus and navigation, things are a little bit flip-flopped this year. So in previous years, we always used to have the plan photo pages part that was up here to the upper left. Now it's really kind of been just broken down to plan and create. There's a showcase drop down that has the virtual book, and that's just a review tool for getting close to submit time. So just to quickly show you what you're going to find under plan, the plan drop down, you're going to get to the page ladder. Staff is where you're going to set up your staff logins if you have students helping with the book or just other volunteers. Fonts is going to where you're going to add fonts to your collection. Styles is goes along with fonts. They're font styles, so you can set certain fonts to be like a headliner or body caption or subtitles, stuff like that. Image share has been renamed to replay it. So if you're looking for that that companion site that allow your school community, teachers, students, anybody who wants to, parents, to contribute images, you'll go under replay it and set that up. But more or less, if you hear us or if you call it image share, we're going to know exactly what you're talking about there. But it's just replay. It's kind of changed. And it's kind of gone more to the image share side of things. Where we're going today is under the create drop down, and we're going to go under the new page designer. And I'll just start here with this stuff here. I'm going to start on a blank page here. All right. So the first thing we're probably going to do is we're going to just kind of go through the menus just so you can see what is, some things are still in the same place, some have kind of flip-flopped. So just going across the top here, the top toolbar, under File menu here, we still have Save as Template. Last year, the Save, if you're looking for the quick selection of that, let's see if I can zoom in. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you guys can see this better. So once you make changes, we still have a disk icon under here. It's not the blue disk icon that you see here, but here's a little disk icon. So when you can either go to File, Save, or click that as your quick selection and go from there. We'll still have our click and go options. And now you'll see a Save as Practice page, new practice page. This is something that we're still kind of in the works on. But what practice pages are exactly that. So you can open up a practice page to where you can test certain, like if you want to try different formatting on a, drop shadow effects, different things like that. Have a practice page, and that way, it's good for students to kind of practice, get familiar with certain tools. These practice pages will then, much like your custom templates that show up under the Designs tab, those you'll have a section under the Designs tab where you can retrieve those practice pages and go back and play with them more. But you can also, neat thing about practice pages is, once we get that going, you're supposed to then be able to, if you actually build a practice page and you actually have it, this is maybe what I want in the book, like on my actual pages, you're then able to drag and drop that practice page onto one of your actual layout pages, and that becomes that page of the book. So hopefully we can get that going for you here soon on that with those. But it's a nice add-in because instead of taking away on your layout to practice, and where you could actually be putting something in that you really need there, you now kind of have a practice where you can kind of play around. So under File, we still have page info. So if you want to see, unassigned, or when it was kind of last worked on, you can come here for that information. And View PDF. Now View PDF, and we also have the preview page, the quick selection of that. This will allow you to generate a PDF proof that's on the page. And if we move over some here, we're going to go under the Edit menu. Now under Edit, you're going to find Undo, Redo, which also you have the quick selections for those are here on the top toolbar. You're also going to find your normal cut, copy, paste, and delete. We have a change background option under Edit this year, and we're going to come back to this in a little bit when we actually kind of add some things to our pages, but we're going to keep this in mind. Below, we also, for your text in that, we have Find and Replace, and we also have our spell check here, or dynamic text that it is. That spell check is also up here as a quick selection in your top toolbar. We have our select options. So if you want to easily grab everything on a page, you can do your select all. We also, and that does have a shortcut there. We also, if you want to just select just specific elements like images, text boxes, shapes, we have those. If you're trying to find empty elements, such as empty photo boxes, empty text boxes, just select an incomplete, and that'll highlight anything that's there on the page that that you may either need to work on or remove, depending on where you're at in the process there. If you're trying to find anything locked on a page, if you can't figure out why you can't move or delete something, you might do a select and locked elements, and I'll highlight those. And then there's a color option. So if I guess you're selecting a specific color on a page, if you're working with shapes, stuff like that. Moving down the row here, we got our view menu. So under here, we've got our hide rulers. So you can hide the rulers on here. Hide page margin. It's here, but I really don't suggest this one. That way you can kind of see where your safe area to keep everything within. There is hide grid lines. So your pages this year start with the grid lines turned on, and from here you can hide those. There is also a toggle that is down here in the bottom right that'll let you also do the show and hide the grid lines here. So if we go down here, this little spot that has the hash marks here, we're going to click on that. Off, on. So quickly, if you need the grid lines on to kind of help you with aligning anything or spacing or anything like that, definitely make use of those. But we're going to have snap to grid. Now with snap to grid off, which it is on now, when snap to grid, let me toss, actually I tell you, let me go to a page here real quick. And let me find a better page here that I have here real quick. Here we go. So with snap to grid off, as you go to move something, with snap to grid off, you're able to, things move a little bit smaller or slower, but they move more precisely. They go by points. And so if you're looking to really kind of line things up, make sure that snap to grid is off. Now, if you're needing to move things around the page a little more quickly, and I was kind of moving that with the arrows on my keyboard, but if you're wanting to move things a little bit more quickly, turn snap to grid on, and then things move by half a grid, and it's a little more jumpy. So, but yeah, definitely if you're wondering why you can't align something a little more precisely, might check under your view menu, check under snap to grid. We've had questions in the past as like, well, is it better to leave this snap to grid off or can I leave it on? It's ideally it's up to how it affects you while working on your page. So oftentimes you may find yourself toggling between the two. So you just kind of keep in mind if you want to move things, if you're used to moving things around the page using your arrows, we need to move it quickly, have snap to grid on, and then when you want to then precisely line it up or get it lined up, just toggle it off and then go from there. We can hide and lock and clear guides. Now remember, I'm going to go back to blank page here. So for those of you returning or those brand new, if you want to use guides to help line stuff up, or if you're making your own templates and want to just use guides to make size boxes, guides can be brought down. If you click and hold in the top ruler, it'll bring down the horizontal guides. If you go to the side ruler, you're then bringing on vertical guides. Now these guides, they're non-printing. They're just here to help you with alignment, extra alignment and spacing when you're building your pages. But again, you can hide them. You can lock them in place. So if you lock them in place, that way you don't accidentally move them, mess up kind of your spacing that you have there. Or you can clear them all together. Clear them all, or if you just want to remove a specific set there. Now, going down, we also have our zoom in and zoom out and fit to window. Now these options right here are also in the top right corner to where you can zoom out, zoom in, or you can actually just set it at a percentage that works best for you. And also over here we have our page navigation tools. And let's go down. Oh, and down at the bottom of the view menu, you can toggle between facing and single pages. So if you if you're working on just one side, or let's say that you're on a spread or something, a 2-page spread. Now if you have assigned pages to students, and oftentimes we say kind of assign the whole spread to a student, both pages. Um, that's probably the best way to go about it. But if you find yourself where you have, I've got one kiddo that is assigned to the left page, one kiddo that's assigned to the right, what you will probably have to do to for both of those is have those students switch to a single page view. If they both, because they can't both be working on the same spread at the same time. And also, if they are working on the spread at the same time, this could cause some saving issues. So whoever clicks save first, their changes will be claimed. The other person who goes to save will have to save it as a template and probably restore it at a later time. So to avoid save issues or having to do that, in the just in the event that you have a student assigned, two different students assigned on the spread, have them both switch to single page view, and that'll avoid any save error between the two. So they could, one kiddo could be working here, other on the other, and whatever they do won't affect each other. Another new addition here to the top tool menus is the arrange menu. Now, for those of you who have been with us in the past, the arrange menu or arrange used to be a link up at the top of the pages area that would take you to where you'd go to move your pages. So now we have things kind of named a little bit more appropriately. So what used to be arrange under the old program is now page mover. So page mover is exactly where you're going to go move your pages around. This year, arrange is a menu to where you can lock and unlock your elements. You can also group and ungroup your elements. This is also where you're going to find your alignment options. So if you're aligning horizontally, so if you're aligning your rows, you're aligning vertically, that's your columns. What arrange here, and let me get to a page that has some box. I'll at least use these boxes, and I'll tell you what, I want to find something that actually has, if I have any shapes, because that might, you know what, this might work. Okay, I got text box, clip art, photo box. Okay, these three things will work here. Okay, so you kind of see we've got it then overlapped text over clip art and clip art over photo box. So what arrange here does, arrange, for those of you that are returning, we used to have a format tab last year that had these options, but arrange is now under here. But this is where you're going to find, like if you're wanting to change the layering of object on a page. So we have, bring to front, bring forward, send to back, send backward. And also if you're working on a collage page, you'll probably make good use of these tools too. And that way you can, adjust, what corner, or if you're, I want this image to be just over the corner of this image, but I want the next other image over that. So here we can kind of go to arrange, and we can do, I could send that to the very back with my photo box here, just to show you I can bring forward, that brings it. Or with my text box, I can go back under here, bring to front, which brings it all the way in front of those other options. So that is what our arrangement is. Now under transform, here is where you're going to have your flip and rotate. So you're going to have, if you want to flip it horizontal, vertical, or if you want to rotate left or right. So if I have that transform, let's rotate right. Now you can also just try to grab the rotate tool. So anytime you have an element selected on a page, have this you've got your handles here to adjust the size, but then you got this one bar up here. So if you want to rotate, you can rotate that way as well. All right, and so that is the top menu bar, and going through that and the quick selections here, and also your page navigation and your zoom. So for the most part, a lot of these menus still the same, under at least these three, but the arrange menu is new. But this again, you'll come here if you're looking to, again, lock, group, or align, or change your layering of that. All right, so moving on from here, what we're going to do next is we're then going to go down. We're going to check out the tabs where you can find what here. So a lot of you, if you're returning, you're used to the you're used to all the tabs being along the right side. Well, they all decided they wanted to come over here this year. And under the pages, this is still where you're going to navigate, and you're going to navigate while you're here in the pages, just to select other pages to go to. Under designs, this is where you're going to find all of our pre-made templates. This is also where you're going to find any templates that you have saved. So if I go under all the options here, so custom is going to be anything that you save in this current account. Now you're also, if you saved any templates in your 2020 account, if you saved any templates and they were in My Templates in 2020, those will automatically carry over, and you'll find them under My 2020 Templates. So those will show up here. Going down under Page Surfer, under the Page Surfer section, this is where you're going to find all of your candid and activity style templates. Now Gallery, if I come down here, Gallery has just a mix and match of everything. So it's got candid activity templates. It also has, so if I can bring one up here, it just has a very large mix of, just tons of stuff. Not only, candids and stuff. Let me toss this one out. It also has stuff that kind of looks like it could lend itself well to certain class pages, or at least if you're working on certain clubs, maybe that would work, or maybe even sports. If you could put the individual team, the team player photos here, but good chunk goes under here. But again, mostly these are all candid activity. So Candids probably has the most basic of templates under here, and then then it kind of gets more stuff with more added to them. So if we go under sports, there's a lot that has where you can put player spots in them, or scoreboard information. So let me bring one over here. So team picture, like on this particular template, team photo, and also scoreboard. Keep track of those games. Moving down, we have Click and Go. Now, Click and Go templates, these are not full page templates, but they're smaller groupings that you can use to fit in place of any other template, or at least part of a template. And so these are really good to where, here, if I come under Page Surfer, let me grab just a basic template from Candids here. And let me drop this on. There we go. Okay, so where Click and Go's come in, now I'm going to go back under here. So there's cover to cover, which has some cool, nice little photo box spots in here. Headline, if you want to add in different kind of styled headlines here. So I'm just going to take this top row out here. and again, whether you're returning or if you're brand new, our nothing about our templates are set in stone. You can easily customize these to fit your needs through here. And then even you can take one of our templates, customize it, and then save it as one of your own. So I'm just going to take a headline spot here, drop it in. Now with the click and go templates, these come onto the page grouped. I think one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take, there we go, things look a little bit clearer now. They come on grouped, so if you have a click and go and you're working on or want to adjust or click on, edit any of the type here, what you will have to do first is ungroup it. So again, that would be where you could go under the arrange menu and hit ungroup. Now another thing you can do is when you have specific elements selected on a page, at the very top you'll have the new what we call, or what is being called, the contextual toolbar. So whereas in previous year we used to have the format tab to where, if you had photos selected, you would go over to the format tab and you'd have your photo editing options. If you had text selected, you would then have text editing options, shapes, so on. Well, to be more in line with other programs, or basically just kind of modernize things, like you would see in other products. So whenever you have an element selected on a page, whether it's text or photos, you'll notice those options change in this toolbar, not the very top toolbar, but this one right above the page. You'll notice the options change depending on what element you have selected on the page. So if this click and go, I'm going to select it, and in order to start working on it, like I said, you could go under arrange and do ungroup, but over here you'll have those options here as well. You'll have, well, group, ungroup, lock, and transform. So you kind of and your arrange tools that are here. So I'm going to ungroup this, and then with this being ungrouped now I can edit that type to be anything I want to be there. And again, like with this text selected, I can now, work with any of the text that is here. So I can change the font style, size. So if I wanted to make that a little bit smaller, but I'm going to undo that. Could change the type color. Now one thing, I'm just unpinned this little menu that popped out. So when working with text, so when you're doing things like, if you want to just work with the text color itself, make sure this A is, that's going to be the default, but if that's selected, we can do, here, let me just have the box selected without the cursor. Change it to red or blue or any other color. Now, if you're then looking to, well, let's say that you wanted to take the text box itself and add a fill color or a stroke. How would you go about this? Well, come back over here and you're going to click on shape color, and then you're going to have fill, and here's where you're going to find your fill and stroke options. So, fill color, make that a yellow, and if I want to then do stroke, I can go back to that same blue that I used there on the page. But a lot is right there for you. You can keep this up if you just kind of move it over to the side, and then kind of work with any of that. You can also, depending on if the font you're working with has these attributes, you can make them bold, italicized, underline. If you also wanted on the text transform, if you want to do like lowercase or uppercase or just title case, we have those quick options there as well. So that one's kind of new. Also where you can do your text alignment. So if you need to do, or your adjustment, or yeah, how you have it justified is basically, if you want it justified left, center, align right, or actually justified is where it fills in your paragraphs. Also, you can kind of play with how or where certain of these fonts will allow you to kind of play where they land in the within the text box itself. So something kind of neat with that. I'm gonna go ahead and clear that off there. So going back to Click and Go's. So again, you know, under designs, so there's also like stuff like infographic, so little different pieces. So Click and Go's basically they're just small little add-ins that you can add into a template here, or if you look through them and find different ones, you can actually use those and piece together your own template, create your own very unique template style. If you are going to be doing advertising or have ads in the yearbook, we do have templates for those as well. If we go under advertising, you'll see that we have templates for just half-page ads, quarter, eighth, full-page ads. Templates will have, if you just go under this one, it'll have probably everything, all of these options underneath here. So it's kind of a catch-all, or it's basically all your templates. We do have other sizes here. So if you do, half page, quarter page, that there. Business ads, same thing, different things that are there. So definitely, oh, I guess one thing I did want to show you under the templates there, has some kind of neat little odds and ends too. So if you'll find stuff that has like 4/8 and 2/4. So kind of like a little mix and match here, or that, or you'll see half at 2/4 there. So definitely, if you're doing ads, come and check out the templates, see what kind of works there. Because if you get down to where you've used so many templates, or you've have so many ads, but if you're getting kind of down to the end where you kind of like, well, I only got one half, and I just have a few left. How do I get those on a page? Come check out this category. Again, that's under advertising and templates. It's just got some odd and ends that may lend themselves well to what you're working on. And the last one under designs here is the portrait templates here. So this is your portrait templates are going to be what you're going to use for your individual class pages. Coming under here, if you click on all portraits, that's going to show you all the portrait templates available. If you want to narrow down your search though, let's look at some of these other categories here. So these ones where it's like 4x6 pica and down, these would be good for if you're looking for, I want this particular size of photo box in the book. The higher the pica numbers, the larger the photo boxes. Now, you may also be looking for templates based on class size. And that's where you have these categories. So then I'll take those, and if you're looking for a specific amount, like most on average on your smaller elementaries, or just elementaries, mostly times the classes are 21 to 30, or some get a little larger, 31 to 40. So definitely check those out. Now, one kind of thing that we always recommend, now it's just a suggestion, but when picking a template, if you're looking for consistency, like if you're wanting the same photo box size, same solid image throughout the book, when picking a class template, you might pick a template based on your largest class size. And that way you'll know that you pick one on your largest class size, then you'll have consistency throughout the book. You'll be able to use the same template on all of the class pages that you will flow onto. But So here's the Designs tab, and then moving down, we've got Images tab. This is where you're going to be able to find and locate all the images that you've uploaded. This is where you're also going to be able to check in on your student photos here. So again, there we go. When building pages, and you got templates here, just some indicators that'll let you know if something will work out well or not. When you bring an image over, if the photo box highlights green, you know that's good to place. Means your photo has, the photo is, or that box is large enough for that. If you bring a image over, you notice the box goes, it used to be red, it looks more purple now, just kind of from what I'm seeing, but I'm going to call it red just because that's the way it always kind of was. It goes this red. That means that image will not place into that photo box. The photo is just, it's not large enough. It may be that it doesn't meet the height, or it doesn't meet the width requirements, or it doesn't meet both. So if you bring a photo over and you drop it, and the program's still going to place the photo. It's just in its own new photo box now, instead of this one right here. Now, if you go to enlarge an image, if you get to the point where you can't increase it anymore, you also notice a message kind of pop up: image has reached maximum size required to maintain print quality. So our program's not going to allow you to enlarge an image beyond its actual size, and that's just to keep it at print quality there. So if you find yourself in a situation where you can't drop that in, what you may have to do is kind of look at other spots where you could fit that photo, replace it with a different photo, or even you might have to sometimes see if you're able to get a higher quality version of that photo. But yeah, just if you kind of hit that, that's just letting you know green good, red, we'll need to do something else with that photo. Now, for those of you those advisors that have been with us for a bit, used to be able to find clip art under the Images tab. Well, clip art and that now has its own tab, just the Art tab. And this is also where you're going to find photo frames. So if you need to add, take out different photo boxes in an area and bring in different photo frames, this is where you're going to go. So here's your different photo boxes. If I click on shapes, this is where you're going to find all the different, the same kind of shapes as the image frames, but these are just shapes used to fill in, accenting. You can do different cool kind of things with them if you want. Under the shapes, you're also going to find the line tool, to where you can add lines to your pages if you want to put a line between things, kind of separate them, or just use it for decoration. And over here, here's where you're going to find your clip art now. So if we go under clip art, and I'm going to go up category. So basically under here, you're going to amazingly find it, borders, headlines, icons, so all different pieces of clip art. If you click on illustrations, you'll see all the subcategories under it. So lots of clip art there, stickers. Now, then it comes to theme packages. So what's under theme packages? A lot of times for most of if I click on theme packages, it brings up a lot of our stuff that we have. We no longer really kind of do that cover, but we do have a lot of the clip art still, in case that clip art lends itself to your own theme that you're doing. So a lot of cool old stuff in there. But if we click on the arrow next to theme packages, we're going to come down and you're going to see all these other subcategories. A lot of these subcategories kind of go, some of these kind of go with some of the covers that we have. So for instance, Argon is one of our covers, and here's all the backgrounds and clip art that go with that. So that's just where you're going to find our theme stuff and our clip art all under here. Let me close that up, and I'm going to also, this is where you're going to find backgrounds. So I'm going to clear some of this off here real quick. Just okay, I'm going to leave the lines here, but so under backgrounds, here's everything. Now these will still, you will still apply these. Oh, if I find a good one here. You'll still apply these by dragging and dropping them over to a page. If you need to replace, just drag and drop. Now, previously, you would used to be able to, once a background was on a page, you could still click on it and hit delete. They've kind of changed it to where that doesn't happen. You still drag and drop and change things, but you're not, once it's on the page, the background is now on there. Now, that was so to make it easier to where if you needed to, bring this over, that would be, it made it easier to where that, so now like if you were trying to highlight certain stuff just to select certain items, well, used to, it would select the background too, or that when you're doing that, or you accidentally have the background included in your selection. So that kind of makes things easier to kind of work with if you're, when you're selecting stuff there. Now, if you're needing to find other images, or if you want to use the theme art, or let's say you have your own image that you want to use as a background, here is where that, if we go back under edit, and we're now coming back to this change background option. So I've got change background here. We can toggle between the pages, which one we want to do. So I'm gonna work with the left page, and you know what, I just want to remove this one here. So to remove it, hit remove background. Now, if we want to, let's say that instead of a clip art background, or just the backgrounds that are here or that, let's say you just want to go with a solid color background. It's made really easy now with just this spot. You're just going to click a drop down, and you're just going to select a color. Now, in the past, I mean, this is made much easier. In the past, what you would have to do is add a shape to a page, give it a fill color, and then go to another one, the format tab that used to be amongst these, and just click the make background button. So let's see. Add shape, fill, make. So that was, 3 steps depending on what you're doing. Now it's just a matter of bringing up the change background tool, clicking a drop down, and choosing the color you want the page to be. So I think that was made a lot more easier than what it used to be. Now also on here, I'm gonna, if I want to choose anything that's under the theme art, or if you need to navigate to any of your own images, here's where we're going to do choose image. And let's see, I'm just going to go under theme packages, and branching out was a popular one. Brilliant bus was okay. Cherry crowns, let's pull up cherry crowns. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to hit select. And now I've got that image as my background. I want to change something here. I'm going to pull back up. Here we go. Now, a lot of times, your backgrounds are going to come onto the page full color. I mean, bold color, everything. So what you can do is if you're needing to tint this or lighten this so it brings focus back to the foreground, you know, your photos and that are on the pages. Here's where you've got the tint tool, and you can lighten that background a little bit to where, you know, it's still there, but it's not pulling the attention away, you know, from what the importance of the page, you know, the students or whatever the event pictures that you have there. So any changes to background, whether just removing it, making it solid color, using your own image, or if you need to lighten things, you'll bring that up. Again, just you can do that going to edit, change background. You can also right click. So on a PC, you can right click here and bring up this menu. If you're on a Mac, you will hold, actually you'll hold down your, you'll do control click. And I think that brings up the right menu option to do change background. So here we got everything under the art tab here. So photo boxes, clip art, shapes, background. Next tab I'm going down to is the text tab. Now this kind of goes back with those styles that I had. So if a template you're using doesn't have text, or you want to add text in and that, you'll come to the text. And then you'll just grab one of your styles. You can drag and drop it over. Actually, I'm just going to bring the headline over. You know, come over in that size what you set the style at. So this one, this particular headline was 24, this Foundation Sans font. You can still, even though it's set to a style, you can bring this onto the page, change the size, change the fonts, change the font style, and then, you know, click in here, type in what you need there. But yeah, if you need to add in a text box this year, just come to the text, drag any one of these on. If you set up your styles. Good thing about this year, when you bring over a text box, it just kind of has the style name in it. Whereas the past few years, you would bring on a photo box and it would have tons of filler type that you'd have to find yourself deleting out, and that would kind of get a little frustrating. But so this I think works a lot better. Just bring it over, and the text is just the style name, and you can easily delete that out and put in what you want that to be. All right, so I'm going to clear this, and oh yeah, remove that. I'm going to take these lines off here. Okay. Now, last thing I want to show you here is the flow, and going on with the flow tab here. So I'm going to go back under real quick. I'm going to grab a portrait template and six and 36. Okay, I think that should work. So I'm going to go back under flow. And okay, so under the flow tab, so for flowing, you'll need to have a portrait template, and then what you'll notice about the different styles, in a portrait template, the photo box is here compared to the photo boxes on any other template. So the little person here, or any of the portrait templates have these. Now these, this whole little thing right here, at least just this part. So this year, how flowing works is it works with panels as opposed to just individual boxes. So I'm not able to click on just one individual element. I'm not able to just click here and type in. So these are really made just for using the flow function, which brings the photos and the names in at one time. Now, before you flow, you can do a little bit of adjustment here, such as you can change, if you wanted to change the font style, the font size, or come through here, text color. Let's say, well, I'll tell you what, let's make that. I was wanting that to be a little bit darker than that. So if you want to add stroke to your images, so you can do a little bit of a basic formatting as we're going through here. So once a little bit of the formatting is done there, then you'll be ready to flow. So once you get that little bit of formatting, you come back over here to the flow side of things. You'll pick your category here that you're going to flow, and let's see, is it here? Okay, so this one had 45 images. Okay, let me go back up here. I'm going to pick a different template completely. Okay, go back to flow. Okay, I still got my class. Under name format, this is how the names are going to come in. In previous years, it was always the default was first name last or first last. Now it comes in, the default is last first. So please, keep that in mind when you go to flow, and that way if you want the names to come on first name then last name. Now they'll still go in alphabetical order. It's just first name will come in, tell you how many images there are. And then down below, something that's new within this is a start and stop range. Now, if you're flowing a class onto just a single page, just make sure you're on, the page that you're working on. This says right now, page 62. Well, I'm currently, if we kind of look here up right, I'm on page 48. So we're going to make sure we're good there. It says 0 available positions. Hold on, let me save. Okay. Oh, okay. Huh. Okay. So, okay, we're good here. We've got our range here. We've got our group, how we want our names, our start and stop. Now, for those that if your class doesn't fit on a single page, so if you're an advisor from a very large middle school or something like that, where you've got 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and they're going to flow across 5 pages or so, definitely keep in mind of the start and stop range here. So once you have everything just right, you come down. Real quick, I am going to put stroke back on these. I'm going to change my font style. With this, I'm actually going to leave the size the way it is. And I'm going to do a bright red. Oh, I can't do bold, so I'll just put it back. Okay, once you have your little bit of formatting that you can do done, everything else checks out here on the left. You're going to hit flow. And would you like to save your change? Yes. It always kind of makes me do that again. So here everybody goes in. Okay. So now everybody flows in here. Looks like that was 45 on the spot here. One thing I'm going to reset this, and I'm actually going to pick a little bit smaller of a class. Okay, I'm going to pick this class here just because they're smaller. I'm going to flow them in. Okay, so one thing you'll notice with flowing is, if your class doesn't use all the extra spots, your extra spots are automatically taken out. Um, Whereas last year when you flowed, everything, the empty box, the extra boxes were still there. You have to delete them. Now, one thing about these panels, and like a very big plus that is with these, is since it acts as one group here, before you flow, um, it's going to ensure that everybody flows in the right alphabetical order, everything is aligned, and there's no skipped spots. In the previous version of the program where we had those templates, everything kind of moved individually. So if you had a photo box that was out of alignment, it could throw off the order in the row and how those pictures would place. So the names would all still flow alphabetically in the text box. But if you were looking down the row, um, they would be kind of off depending on if there was a box higher or lower. Um, Now, another thing that advisors were running into is if one of those boxes, say this was a template coming over from the previous year, if one of those templates, or if one of those photo boxes was a smaller size, not the same as the rest, it would be skipped, and the advisor would have to either delete that box out and then copy one of the others in. Um, so you could then reflow that. Now, one thing after the flow, one thing you'll notice is you have some red X's here, and that's what happens when you have these red X's. What do those mean? What do you do? Red X in a text box means not all the text in that text box is showing. But with this all being one element, how do you fix that? Well, after you flow, if we go up to this top toolbar, you'll see this little checker button, Flow Options. After you've done flowing, you will see this Expand Flow option show up. Now, one kind of a thing about this is when you expand the flow, it will release all the individual objects, but once expanded, you will not be able to reflow into those elements. So one thing that we're really suggesting and putting out there to advisors this year is before you expand this, make sure that you're not going to be flowing and reflowing anymore. So you want to wait till close to the end to expand that and start fixing these. So once you're for sure that this is Mrs. Johnson's class and these are the students she'll have, okay, we're getting to a point where okay, no more students are coming in. Maybe if we did have to add a student in, we could put them somewhere at the end in that. Um, but really wait to expand that. Now, one thing I do want to show before I expand this and everything is one of the questions we had on previous sessions is, well, what do we do if we have like a new student come in or a student has changed classes? Well, if we go back, what we can do is I'm going to reset this here, and let's go pull everybody back out. So then it was like, well, how do we get those extra spots back? Well, one kind of neat thing here is they're still there. If you double click on the panel, everything will kind of gray out here and you'll see these spots. So if you need to add spots back in for new students or students that have changed classes, double click on the panel, and then you can kind of add those spots back here. I'm just going to click off, add those spots back. And then you'll have that spot to where if you've added the new student in the portrait category in photos, you have them tagged, you come back in here, you'll flow, and then you'll have that extra spot. And you don't have to worry about copying, pasting any of the others and have to worry about getting it the right size and positioning it. So that makes it real nice to be able to double click on the panel, bring back in the spots that you want. Now another thing with these panels, you can even do some of this before you start flowing. If you wanted to do, you have large classes and you wanted to do some kind of stair step design here, you could do that as well. Okay. Okay. So going back to the expand. So really, ideally, you'll want to wait till the very end, just because once you expand this, you won't be able to reset it and reflow. Everything is already there. So I'm gonna go under here. I'm gonna pretend that this class won't be flowing anymore. It is the way it is. So I understand. I'm gonna expand. Now once this is expanded, and I'm gonna, if you need to quickly zoom around the page once you've zoomed in, I'm holding down the space bar to toggle between your pointer and just your hand. So I'm going to move this here. Okay, so if we go here now, to get that, we can either make the text box a little bit deeper if you don't mind it being split two ways, or you can make the text box just a little bit wider. It'll fit. So that's how we'll fix that red X. But yeah, really just wanted to show you how the new how Flow works now and how you can easily add stuff back in and how the panels worked. But really, ideally, as you're doing that, make sure before you ever expand it, just make sure the class is, you have the class the way you have it, and hopefully that should kind of help you there, and keep it to where if you need to reset for new students, you have that option. And lastly, with today's, the only other tab that we have down here is the history tab. And what the history, I'm going to save this. Now what the history tab is basically just that. The program keeps track of each and every save change for each and every page. So as you're working along, make sure that you're saving your pages. If you ever need to restore the page to a previous point in time, if you're doing certain formatting and stuff like that, you'd be able to come back to the history and drag and drop that progress back onto the page. All right, so here we have the MemoryBook Company new page designer. So hopefully, going through over the top toolbar of the tabs and showing you a few things will really kind of help you get started this year. Now, usually we've kind of been wrapping up a little before an hour. I know that there's a lot of you still here, so thank you for hanging on there. We got through it. Now, usually I open these up for a little bit of Q&A afterwards if you have that. For any of you that still have questions, I can hang on for another 5 minutes or so. For those of you that have hung on, if you're ready to call it a day, I totally understand. We've been here an hour. And you've heard me kind of yammering that long about everything. So totally understand if you guys need to take off, you have other commitments you have to get to. But if you have any questions, you want to stick around for a little bit, I have a little bit of time, just put those questions in the chat log, and I'll do my best to get them answered for you. Okay. Here, one quick question. Will this video be available to view again? I am recording this right now, so yeah, um, once I have this, once we wrap up, we'll go into prepping this for upload, or actually, yeah, it'll take a while to process, but yes, in a day or so, once we get this put on our YouTube channel, I will send the link out to everyone that has signed up. So yeah, definitely you'll have a link to this recording. That way you can always use it as a refresher. But yep, we will get that out to you. Oh yeah, I definitely agree on that. Help review students definitely. That way they can kind of see some of this and get a feel for it. And that way that, they can kind of see it in action. Definitely helps them out. Definitely, definitely. Okay. Well, I actually see a lot of people dropping off here and all that. So, um, again, for those you still here, thank you very much for attending. Now, hopefully these will go through. Oh, got one here. Unversed, I had to miss the first half due to stats coding. What were the first subjects? Okay. Um, Really, what we mainly did going through is we just went through an overview of going through what was under the menus here and just going down through the tabs. Didn't really get into anything real specific until we started getting into the templates and designs in that. But like I said, I have this recorded. It'll be up in a couple days, so that link will definitely go out to you, so that way you can catch up on anything that you missed there. So sorry you missed the first half, but we got this recorded for you, and that way we can get that to you. So, um, but I think I got 6 people left, so we're all kind of dropping off. Though I think we're going to call it an afternoon. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending these sessions. And you have more questions along the way, please feel free to reach out to us um, at our tech support line at 1-877-302-3140, or contact us by email at memorybooktechsupport@jostens.com. So thank you, everybody. Have a great afternoon. We will talk to you later. All right, take care.